So Josh, another question is, how often should you update your trust or have it reviewed?
Yeah, so we like to tell our clients to every year at tax season, when you're already doing something you don't want to think about or talk about, to go ahead and look at your trust or think about your trust and see if you've had any major life changes. So things like you've gotten married, you've gotten divorced, you've had a kid, you purchased a new house or a new rental property or something, or even something like your kids are now 18 or 21 and maybe they're a little more responsible and you want to put them in charge, or they're less responsible and you're like, hey, you shouldn't get money at 25, right? You should wait till you're 35 or something. Yeah, just anything like that. Because if you just sign it and like put it in a box somewhere, then you don't really remember what you have. And then when the time comes and either, like we were discussing earlier, you're incapacitated and you can no longer make the changes that you want, or you pass away and then it says like your 75-year-old aunt or something is in charge, and when you have like 35-year-old kids, right?
Yeah.
Or you didn't have, or you did it before you had kids or before a third kid, and now they're not technically in the document. So it's always good to review it with major life changes so that you're up to date and you're making sure that it reflects what you want it to say.
No, I actually remember hearing a story where they had something like that happen, and they had 3 kids, but they were pregnant with the 4th. So that 4th child wasn't mentioned in the trust.
Yeah, so typically like in our stuff and in most trusts, it'll say like the definition of children will include like afterborn or after adopted children.
Okay.
So like that should cover that. But I guess if it's a really old trust and doesn't have that, then you gotta kind of rely on the generosity of the other kids.
Yeah, so you guys have added some lingo to sort of protect those situations.
Yeah, the trusts are like long because they have a bunch of stuff that may never apply, but if it does, you want it to, you want it there. That's when you want it there.
I remember being in the office going over the trust and asking that, they're like, you think about it like one of you are going to be alive, but you never think about, well, what if we're both unalive, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, and you have young children, who's going to be in charge then?
Yeah,
but then when the children are 18, 19, 30, you can change those provisions a little bit.
Yeah, and then if you want them to be in charge, and then you're not putting, say, burden of being the trustee on like your aging sister or something, instead when the kids are perfectly capable of taking care of themselves, right?
One other thing I want to ask, I know I've heard of people putting like percentages on their trust, like for their children. They'll say, okay, at 18 they can get X percentage, and then at age 20 they get another percentage. When you do something like that, where do the assets sit?
Yeah, so I would say that's actually one of the most common ways that we see clients wanting to distribute their assets. Basically, whoever is the trustee is in charge of maintaining the assets. So whether they're investing them or they're keeping them in some sort of account, that interest-bearing account, to just like maintain them, make sure that if anything happens, they go up, they don't go down, right? And then making those distributions as necessary.
Okay.